In the quiet hills of Manchester Parish, Jamaica, in a small rural community called Banana Ground, a young girl once raced barefoot along dusty tracks, her laughter echoing in the warm Caribbean air. Her name was Elaine Thompson, and though no one knew it then, she would one day become the fastest woman alive. Elaine was born on June 28, 1992, into a tight-knit family. Life in Banana Ground was simple, but not without challenges. Opportunities were limited, and the idea of reaching the Olympic Games seemed almost impossibly far away. Yet the Jamaican countryside had a way of breeding determination. Elaine's parents and extended family instilled in her a respect for hard work and the belief that dreams could be achieved with enough grit. She attended Christiana High School, where she began to show flashes of exceptional speed. In Jamaica, sprinting talent rarely goes unnoticed. The island's track and field culture is woven into its national identity. Even so, Elaine's rise wasn't immediate. She didn't dominate at the famous ISA Boys and Girls Championships in her early years. In fact, she was considered good, but not yet special. Coaches knew she had potential, but she wasn't yet breaking records or turning heads on the national stage. What set Elaine apart was her attitude. She was quiet, almost shy, but fiercely competitive. Friends recall her easy smile off the track and her total focus once the starter's pistol was raised. That focus caught the attention of the right people. Eventually, she came under the guidance of Coach Michael Dyke, who helped refine her raw talent into disciplined training. Her stride began to lengthen, her form grew smoother, and her acceleration, once a weakness, became a weapon. By her late teens, Elaine moved to the University of Technology, UTech, in Kingston, where she trained under the MVP Track Club, one of the most successful sprinting groups in the world. It was here that the pieces began to fall into place. She was now surrounded by world-class athletes, including Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, whose example set the standard for what it meant to be an elite Jamaican sprinter. Even then, Elaine's journey was not without its hurdles. Injuries slowed her progress, and the depth of Jamaican sprinting talent meant that making the national team was a monumental challenge. But she persevered, showing glimpses of the blistering speed that would soon carry her to global fame. By 2013, Elaine was beginning to clock times that hinted at greatness. In training sessions, her acceleration was sharper, her top speed unmatched by many of her peers. The turning point came in 2014 when she won the Intercollegiate Championships 100 meters in a personal best time. The sprinting world was starting to take notice, and so were the Jamaican selectors. What followed was a steady climb, the kind of progression that every coach dreams of. Each race seemed to shave fractions of a second off her times. She wasn't just running, she was learning how to handle pressure, how to time her peak for major championships, and how to trust the long process of building toward Olympic success. By 2015, Elaine Thompson was no longer just a promising talent from Banana Ground. She was a rising force in Jamaican sprinting, standing on the brink of an international breakthrough. From the dirt tracks of her childhood to the bright lanes of Kingston, Elaine's journey had just begun. But her real test, the kind that would define her career, was waiting on the world stage. For many sprinters, the leap from national competition to the global stage is the hardest one to make. For Elaine Thompson, it was a test of patience, faith, and flawless execution. After joining MVP Track Club, Elaine was under the guidance of coach Stephen Francis, a man known for his intense, science-driven approach to sprinting. He was not one to shower athletes with compliments. His approval came in the form of tougher drills and higher expectations. Under Francis, Elaine's technique was refined. Her block starts became more explosive, her knee lift sharper, and her closing speed ferocious. Her breakout came in 2015. She entered the Jamaican National Championships in the 200 meters and stunned the crowd with a victory over established stars. That same year, she made her World Championships debut in Beijing, where she won silver in the 200 meters, narrowly losing to Dutch sprinter Daphne Schippers. The performance cemented her as a rising international star, but this rise was no accident. Training at MVP was grueling. Sprint intervals in the blazing Jamaican sun, weightlifting sessions that left her legs trembling, and endless drills to perfect the smallest details of form. Elaine embraced the grind. Her discipline set her apart, and her quiet demeanor masked a fierce inner fire. By the end of 2015, she was a fixture in Diamond League events, consistently clocking sub-11 second times in the 100 meters. For the first time, people began to whisper that Jamaica had found the heir to Shelly Ann Fraser-Pryce's sprinting throne. Elaine had arrived, but in the world of sprinting, arrival is just the beginning. The Olympic Games loomed ahead, and with them, the ultimate test of speed and nerve. For Elaine Thompson, 2015 had been a taste of the big stage. But 2016, that would be the year she would rewrite the record books and put her name alongside the legends of sprinting. As the Rio Olympics approached, Jamaica's sprinting spotlight still shone brightest on Usain Bolt and Shelly Ann Fraser-Pryce. Elaine was the newcomer. Talented, yes, but untested on the sport's greatest platform. That changed during the Jamaican national trials. In both the 100 meters and 200 meters, she dominated her heats, her stride looking effortless yet deadly. The times she posted made one thing clear. She wasn't just going to Rio to participate. She was going there to win. The world got its first real glimpse of Elaine's Olympic potential at the Prefontaine Classic in Eugene, Oregon, earlier that summer. She blasted through the 100 meters in a world-leading 10.78 seconds. Commentators were stunned, not just by the time, but by how relaxed she looked doing it. Then came Rio. In the women's 100-meter final, the stadium atmosphere was electric. Elaine, wearing the Jamaican yellow and green, lined up against a field of world-class athletes. When the gun fired, she exploded from the blocks, her acceleration sharper than ever. At the halfway mark, she was already in control. Crossing the line in 10.71 seconds, she became the Olympic champion. For many sprinters, that would have been the pinnacle. For Elaine, it was just the start. In the 200 meters, she faced Daphne Schippers again, a rematch from the Beijing Worlds. This time, Elaine ran a nearly perfect race, a strong bend, powerful drive phase, and an uncatchable sprint down the home straight. She crossed in 21.78 seconds, securing the Olympic double and becoming the first Jamaican woman in history to win both the 100 meters and 200 meters at the same games. The world took notice. Elaine's smile on the podium, gold medals draped around her neck, became an instant image of pride for Jamaica. She joined a very short list of sprinters, male or female, to achieve the sprint double at the Olympics. But what made Elaine's 2016 run so remarkable was not just her speed, but her composure. In interviews, she was humble, giving credit to her coaches, teammates, and country. Yet behind that humility was a mental toughness forged through years of overcoming injuries, setbacks, and doubt. The Rio Olympics cemented Elaine Thompson as a global icon. She wasn't just part of Jamaica's sprinting dynasty, she was now one of its leaders. Her reign had begun, but even for the fastest woman alive, the road ahead would not be without its hurdles. In sprinting, the margin between victory and defeat can be measured in hundredths of a second. For Elaine Thompson, that margin would soon be threatened by a battle within her own body. Following her 2016 triumph, expectations were sky high. But the years that followed were marked by a frustrating and persistent Achilles tendon injury. For a sprinter, the Achilles is everything. It absorbs the force of each step, propels you forward, and determines your explosiveness. When it's compromised, so is your speed. Between 2017 and 2019, Elaine's form dipped. She was still a world-class sprinter, still clocking impressive times, but the unbeatable aura she carried after Rio began to fade. At the 2017 World Championships in London, she placed fifth in the 100-meter final, a disappointing result for someone of her caliber. Critics began to whisper, was her reign over? Could she recover? For Elaine, the noise was just that, noise. She focused on rehab, on strengthening the injured tendon, and on regaining the trust in her body that every sprinter needs. She continued to represent Jamaica, winning medals in relays and keeping herself in the global rankings. But the Achilles problem lingered. At times, she admitted to racing in pain, masking her discomfort with sheer determination. Yet through it all, she never lost belief in herself. Elaine's resilience became one of her defining traits. She didn't rush her comeback. She worked methodically, knowing that the only way to return to the top was to arrive healthy and confident. Every champion faces a storm. The true greats are the ones who learn how to run through the rain. In 2021, after years of questions, doubts, and injury struggles, Elaine Thompson-Herah stepped onto the Olympic stage once again. This time in Tokyo, she would silence every critic with speed. The COVID-19 pandemic delayed the Tokyo Games by a year, adding to the uncertainty for athletes. But when the Olympic track finally opened, Elaine was ready. Her form had returned, her confidence rebuilt. In the women's 100-meter final, she lined up against a stacked field, including fellow Jamaican stars Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce and Shericka Jackson. The race was expected to be close. It wasn't. Elaine exploded from the blocks, maintained perfect drive phase mechanics, and surged clear to win in 10.61 seconds. The second fastest time in history, just behind Florence Griffith Joyner's legendary 1988 world record. In the 200 meters, she was just as dominant, clocking 21.53 seconds, another Olympic record. And in the 4x100 meter relay, she helped Jamaica secure gold, completing a historic triple. The first woman to win all three sprint events at a single Games since Florence Griffith Joyner in 1988. The performance cemented her as one of the greatest sprinters of all time, not just for the titles, but for the way she had come back from injury to dominate on the world's biggest stage. Tokyo was more than a comeback. It was a statement: I am not done. Elaine Thompson-Herah's story is one of perseverance, power, and poise. She has faced the fiercest of rivals, including her own body, and emerged stronger. Her rivalry with Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce has given track fans some of the most thrilling races in history, pushing both women to new heights. Beyond medals and records, Elaine has become a role model for young athletes in Jamaica and around the world. She shows that greatness is not just about raw talent, but about discipline, humility, and resilience. Even as she continues to compete, she's already thinking about life after sprinting, inspiring the next generation, perhaps through coaching, mentoring, or even community development in her hometown. From banana ground to the top of the podium, Elaine Thompson-Herah's journey reminds us that speed may win races, but heart wins history.